Keep living in your right mind. Happy Saturday, everyone. If you can see us well, just throw us some hearts and lights. I am excited to be here today on this special day. We have a very special guest with us, Dr. Angie Kearns. Yes, she goes by Dr. Angie. I'm going to introduce her, but before I get into our special guest, I just want to remind you again, our Keep Living in Your Right Mind pledge. And of course, the first one is increasing your self care. You
Right.
have to prioritize your well being. As a caregiver, you have to make sure that you're taking time out just for you. And our second point is making the best and safest decision for your loved one. Whatever that looks like for you, make sure you make the best and safest decision for your loved one. And our third point of the pledge is to create a support system. You cannot become a caregiver or take care of your loved one. You can't handle this journey by yourself, and you're not supposed to. So make sure you create a good support system, people that are willing to help you during the week, during the month, allow you time to go on vacation and to take a break. Okay? So that's how I Keep Living in Your Right Mind pledge. Make sure you always following us on Keep Living Your Right Mind on Facebook, on YouTube, and KL underscore in your right mind on Instagram. Well, I am excited today here on the We Empower Network, the baddest network in the land, to have our special guest with us, Dr. Ange. I tell you, when I first met Dr. Ange, I knew she was a powerhouse, okay? I knew that she had gone through some experiences, and I could just tell by her strength in her voice, how she speaks, how she carries herself, and her motivation, that she's here, you all, to make sure that you end up becoming that same person. You're not pretending to be strong, but you are resilient, okay? Dr. Angie is an entrepreneur. She's a coach, she's a speaker, and she's an author. That's right. She has two books. Her first book is Rip the Bandage Off and Heal for Real. Hey, did you hear that? Rip the bandage off and heal for real. Her second book is Thriving, Not Just Surviving. So those titles right there alone, you all, hey, those titles alone can preach. Yes, they can. So I'm excited, Dr. Angie, to have you today and for you to just give our viewers some more information about your experiences and your journey.
Well, first of all, you got me so fired up right about now. I mean, seriously, I'm so grateful to be
Yeah,
here. I'm so grateful to be in a space that's called Living in Your Right Mind, because that's what I'm
yeah,
all about, emotional fitness, right? I'm the coach that help you align your life so that you can bring the best of you out. Majority of the times as grown women, we still have the power of who we are hidden in the back, afraid to come forth when we are in imposter syndrome. So when you say living in your right mind, that's right up my alley.
yeah,
When you started talking about my mission, I'm like, wow, that's powerful. When you start
yeah,
reading the names of my books, I mean, I really had to say that was powerful, because I really speak from a space of reality. Like, we playing with this healing thing. We trying to
yeah.
do all these little things to try to pacify. I have girlfriends that call me and they're deep in the rut at the moment. And they
Mhm.
want just enough to get up out the rut, but not change. They want
Mm,
they want Dr. Ange to give them a prescription to help them over the hump of the moment of the day, of to not be in that repeated, oh, let me call them, let me text them type of messages
mhm.
when it comes to their loved ones or even their child, when they're over nurturing in a space where they're smothering and they don't know how to stop. They want me to give them an anointment that will help it scab and heal real quick, but yet the damage is still underneath. And I don't play those kind of games. We got to rip that
Yeah,
bandage off and heal for real, because you don't need to be
yeah,
on my phone every single month telling me the same thing over and over again. Because I know you're suffering. I know it's hurting you. So
yeah,
why not you stop it? You have the power. What they remember? What do you say? Smokey the Bear. You could prevent these forest fires. Like, you
right.
can really prevent this stuff if you
Yeah,
stop playing with your healing.
that's right. It starts within. Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And then with thriving, not just surviving, my thing
Mhm.
is, when I realized that my sisters, the one that I relate to the most, Black women, especially the professional Black women, we don't have a lot of resources out there to help us.
Mhm.
If we're in a different space, say for instance, If we're in lower income, which a lot of us are, right? In lower income, you can get Section 8, you can get therapy, you can get all these aids for yourself. But with the professional Black woman, only
Yes.
thing she gets is a long laundry list of things that she needs to check off.
Yes.
So
That's
she
right.
may have the fantastic husband, she may have the amazing kids, the amazing job, the nice car, the house, but something is still missing on the inside.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's where I tried to come in and touch that pain so that she can recognize, okay, yeah, that's the spot that hurts. But she's
Yes.
afraid to say what her hurt is because in our culture, we don't support that. We always act like,
Mm.
oh, girl, shake that thing off. Oh, girl, all you got to do, like some remedy, like all you got to do is X, Y, and Z, and it'll all be over. No, no, you have
No.
to sit in that, recognize
Yes.
where you are, identify that you're suffering, and
Yes.
heal for real so that you don't have to face these things and this fake thing called having strength.
Yes.
You
Yes.
to be resilient, you can be clear in the mind so that you can
Yes.
actually last longer and get back to joy quicker when life throws a curveball.
Oh, that is so good. Oh my goodness. See, you just diving right into it. I like it. We're pulling the layers back.
Yeah.
Okay, we're pulling all of the layers back, even in places and in spaces where we thought we were healed. We thought we were okay. We thought we had moved on. But
Yeah.
then something else happens and trigger that one thing, that old member we used to call it, trigger them old members. And
Yes.
next thing you know, you're not as strong or you haven't overcome that thing that you thought you had overcome. But Dr.
Absolutely.
English, before we go on, I want you to tell our audience about your life. You have beautiful daughters. One daughter is a captain of the Friendly Skies. So can you tell us about your life and your daughters?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking about my love and joy. They're so precious. They spoil me. My baby spoiled me. And so I'm from Philadelphia, and I left Philly when she was about 1 year old. I had a U-Haul truck with all my contents in it, and
Mm.
I had whatever those dolly was with a Ford Escort on the back. My mom bought me my car. This is my second car. My uncle gave me a $500 car that the engine blew. My mom gave me the second one that made it to Georgia. Right? I had
Okay.
I had this big plan. I heard about Atlanta really having the land of milk and honey for people of color.
Mm.
Like, you know what? I'm headed there. My whole plan
Mhm.
was since I had a 1 year old, I got a ticket now to get me some food stamps and Medicaid initially just to get me started. So I knew I was going to get into Georgia and actually be in surplus. I'm going to have something because I'm going to be staying with a girlfriend of mine. I'm not going to have any bills. I could make this work.
Mm.
They denied me. They
Mm.
never gave me anything. But at the time, my aunt had passed away, and that was the reason why I felt freedom to leave because she was my right hand. I was her right hand. She was my right hand. After that, in Philadelphia, all my family was like coupled up, let's just say, and I was
Mhm.
the loner, right? So I felt like I was free to go. So I relocated to Georgia in 1991 with my 1992 with my 1 year old with the U-Haul truck. Came down
Mhm.
here. Within 3 years, I opened up a daycare center. And
Mhm.
it was a group daycare home. So I started there first. And then about 3, 4 years
Okay.
later, I went into real estate. Now, here's the
Mhm.
thing. I didn't have family down here in Georgia. So therefore, my mother taught me that, Angie, if you're willing to help yourself, there'll always be somebody else to help you. So I
Mhm.
had to learn to be vulnerable. But now I had
Mhm.
this seesaw between vulnerability and strength. And the whole time I'm scared.
Yes.
But as I push forward, I've been married twice, divorced twice, right?
Mm.
And in the midst of that, I then had my second child. So now I have two daughters, single mom. The only thing I knew was that I did not know how to give up. And
Yes.
that's how I just kept pressing my way, because my thing is there cannot be a problem without an answer. I might not have the answer, but if
Mhm.
I have the problem, I can find the answer. I just have to keep going.
Yes.
So that's how I
Yes.
pushed myself through. So then we got my daughter into in high school. I put her into a flight academy because my
Mhm.
thinking was, okay, I can't compete with these little boys that's in the school with the pants sagging down and they all swag. I can't compete with that. Mommy just can't. I don't have anything, to combat that. So let me put her around boys that are doing something.
Mhm.
I put her in that flight program. She never mentioned wanting to be a pilot or anything like that, but it actually worked. It caught on. And now she's Delta's second Black
Wow.
female captain. and she's only 32.
That is awesome.
Yes, and
That
then
is such an accomplishment.
now my youngest baby, she ended up graduating high school about a year and a half earlier than a year earlier than the rest of her peers, but she had 2 years of college credits already under her belt by the time she got to
Okay.
college. So
Hmm.
every single semester she made the dean's list, and then now
Yes.
she's graduating, and she's a professional gamer. So she's at
Oh, wow.
Giant's orbit, and I mean she's quick. I can't even understand how fast that gun moving. Now, see, I'm not into violence, but the girl is bad. Though. She bad.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
that. Okay, a professional gamer. Okay. Who would have thought? Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
That is wonderful. Well, I tell you, your experiences alone give me hope and strength, even still in my professional career, that, hey, like you stated, there's not an answer. If you have a problem, there has to be an answer, right? So we're going to dive into some of our wonderful questions for this topic. And again, you all, the topic is mighty or misguided, rethinking the strong woman and caregiver in life. And so we just gonna, hey, help you pull back the layers in your life. And Dr. Angie is gonna give you some tools and resources to help guide your journey. Because again, you're not supposed to do this alone, but you also supposed to reflect, have
Mm,
time to reflect on who you are as a person and things that you may need to adjust and change. Okay. Hey,
mhm.
so our first question, how have you been able to really navigate through your many challenges? You talked about being a single mom. You talked about your two divorces. How have you really been able to navigate to be successful? What's that one thing that has helped you?
Well, I became very spiritual, and I was religious at one
Yeah.
time, and I just started
Mhm.
really, really believing the word. When I looked at other people that were successful in certain areas, I just looked at what they did or what their beliefs were that made them have that level of success. So I just said, you know what? I looked at my pastor and I said, okay, it was Creflo Dollar, and I said, you know what? I sat in the pulpit, and I said, I mean, not the pulpit. I sat in the audience, and I was like, this man really believes this word. And I didn't
Mhm.
have enough faith to really stand on it because I just was new at it. But I said, you
Mhm.
know what? What if I just take a chance and just start believing it word for word? What
Yes.
if
Yes.
let me just try it out for a week? Let me try it out for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Let me try it out for a month. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back to the life that I was already struggling with. Right.
Hey. Mhm.
So I knew I had something that was, and I was willing to do something I never did before to get something I never had, right? So I
Yes.
started really believing the word. God said he's no respecter of persons. If it happened to somebody else, it can happen for me. Well,
That's
I,
right.
I dreamt of a lot of stuff. And I'm telling
Mm.
you what, it came to pass. And one of the other things that I did to make sure I fortified it, it says keep the word before you day and night. Well, I needed visuals. I'm a visual learner. So I made
Yes.
vision boards. Everything I want, I put it up on a vision board. So that way, when I
Mhm.
woke up, that's the first thing I saw. So it started making an imprint in my mind of what can actually happen for me, what can
Yes.
actually be mine. So while I'm manifesting this stuff, just know my
Mm.
confidence wasn't getting better. I didn't feel better about myself in a sense of my value. I just knew I had clicked into a trick, something that really works. The word of God works. He's no respecter
Yes.
of persons. Therefore,
That's
I'm
right.
nothing. But I was like, I'm nothing special. He does this for everybody. Well, let me keep doing it because it's working for me.
Yes,
But
I love that.
it wasn't until later that I had to realize who I was. When I
Mm.
realized that I'm actually royalty, I'm
Yes.
royalty. And the way that I found out about is back in 2018. I went to Africa and I went
Mm.
into the Apartheid Museum and I saw how our Black people was in my bloodline. When I saw what was in my bloodline, and I saw the
Yes.
inner strength and power that they had, something shot up inside of me. And I'm like, wow, just when I thought I was doing something back at home. And I sat outside that museum as I was waiting for my tour bus to take me back. When I recognized that Mandela was in his cell for 10
Mm.
years, and they said he was the most gentle, most kind person, and he never complained.
Wow.
And I'm like, and that cell was small,
Yes.
10
Yes. Very
years.
smart. Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, give me the spirit of Mandela.
Mm.
which meant not being strong.
Yes.
Mendula was surrendered to the mission. God,
Yes.
help me buy into my mission. Help me believe my mission
Yes.
so that
Yes.
I can continue to stand. I never prayed for strength because as
Mm.
a woman, that just felt like that was too much. Immediately when I think about trying to get strength, I just think
That's
about
right.
tension and tightness in my
Yes.
back and all that.
Yes.
Having a wrong idea about strength will mess you up.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I say that all the time. We think that we're strong just because we're wearing so many different hats. Or I'm strong because I'm ripping and running. Or I'm strong because, my schedule is just booked.
Mhm.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you're strong. That just means you're busy.
And probably busy with the wrong things and not even really
Yes,
understanding that you're in burnout.
yes,
Because
yes,
women, we go into burnout without even knowing it because we're so busy juggling so many things because we try to actually always do what's going to benefit the greater good. So what that
yes,
means is we always touching stuff that we shouldn't even be touching just because we know how to do it more efficiently than our partner or our
mhm,
kid or whatever. We're always doing too much. And then we end up
mhm,
in burnout and wonder why we're upset, wonder why life feels unfulfilling, wonder why we don't really give a darn about certain things.
yes,
Burnout will make you walk away from your marriage.
yes,
But it's the
yes.
burnout you've placed on yourself,
That's right.
afraid
That's right.
some of the pieces fall. Well, guess what? All those pieces that you're juggling are not yours. If you let some of them fall, then you can allow help. And that, my friend,
Yes,
misguided. We're afraid to be vulnerable and ask for help and allow help. I mean, I've
yes.
had to barge my way into some of my sisters' lives saying, no, I'm going to help you and you can't push me away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit here and love on you,
Yes,
regardless of how it pisses. I'm not afraid of you being pissed off at me, but I'm here to help. So
that's right.
take your hands off, let me do this part. You know,
Yes.
people don't accept help because that we feel like in our culture, we feel like it's a sign of weakness.
Weakness. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability is a power. Vulnerability is a power. Oh my gosh. If
Yes,
you can allow yourself to be vulnerable and just even say where you're hurting, you can actually
yes,
get help. But if you spend so many years of not being well, you don't even know what it's like. You don't know how to enjoy being well and quietness and peace and things like that.
yes.
Brain is always active, and your best friend anxiety is riding shotgun in the seat next to
That's so true. That is so true because we have been taught, and even, like you talk about our culture and from traditions, we're seeing our mother and our grandmothers, be strong. And we thought what they were doing was really being strong,
you.
But I know for a fact there have been certain experiences in the past that I knew that my mom just wanted to sit down and be still. You know,
Yep.
I
Yep.
knew she just wanted to have time to take a break for herself. But
Absolutely.
that may have meant that she was being weak or she wasn't being, that wife or that mother that she was taught to be. But
Mhm.
no, I think that really, really talks about wisdom. You are wise when you're able to say, let me pause and
Yes.
let me figure out what I really need to do for myself. Let me start within and say, okay, where do I need help? And like you said, let me be vulnerable and let me accept the help that's right there in front of me. Let me accept the help that I need. And I think a lot of our caregivers, and just in life general, we face that every day
Mhm.
because we don't want to be labeled as
Yeah.
not being a strong person or not being successful because we're not doing 100 things at one time. And that's really not the real meaning of being strong.
At
This is
all.
this is this is so good. What is the biggest myth about strength?
Well, so first of all, when you mentioned about your mother's being strong or
Mhm.
your grandma being strong, all them, like my grandmother broke her leg and she walked herself back to the car on a broken leg. Like, it's just
Mm,
a different mindset. And so that strength that we identify most with, it's actually the masculine energy. And at times
yeah,
we do need certain masculine energy, especially when we want to stay focused. Because as women, we're like, whoo, that butterfly is pretty. And child, oh, wait a minute, what you talking about? Okay, I'm back to it. But if we want to stay focused,
yeah.
exercise the masculine energy, which is staying the course, which is
Mhm.
grounding ourselves, making sure we complete a mission, and that's fine. But what happens though, when we get so used to executing, We've now taken on masculine energy, and then we don't understand why we can't get a man to be deeply in love with us or find us adorable.
Right.
Because now we're exerting the energy that matches his. So what he do? He just falls back because a man is a hammer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to show him where the nail is. But if we're doing all the hammering, then he just
Yeah.
sits back on the couch and he relaxes. Then you wonder why you can't get any more honey off the moon, you know?
Wow.
And I remember in my relationship with my fiance, but he was boyfriend at the time. I
No
remember
more. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You just said no more honey off the moon. I caught that late. Okay.
no more honey, can't get the honey off the moon. I mean, and
That's
we
right.
have done it in our relationships, but we haven't done it because we don't know how to fall back into that feminine energy and
Yeah.
move like the ocean. Feminine
Mm,
energy is like the ocean, and we get to change our mind and go a different tide anytime we want because that's who we are.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how we flow. And the man is the watchtower. And he
Mm-hmm.
watches and makes sure what he does is navigate and he makes sure he looks out for the dangers and things like that. But
Yeah.
when we're in our masculine energy and we're executing, we're the ones that's constantly becoming a watchtower. And this is where we get all stiff and we get tight shoulders and everything else, and then wonder why we can't get
Mhm.
no honey off the moon. He is not attracted to
Mhm.
another watchtower. He wants his ocean.
Yes, 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 yes. He wants his ocean. That's right. Okay. Stay, hey, like we say, stay in your lane. Play your role.
Girl, stay in the lane so you don't get a
Yeah.
ticket. Take us out this place. So in my
Yeah.
relationship, what I realized at one point, and I was ready to walk away from the relationship because I was just like, it just wasn't fulfilling. But I didn't recognize that's because I was watchtowering, okay, and I was executing
Mhm.
things like that, and I didn't know it for months until finally I was ready to just give up. And mentally I'm giving up. But then I thought and said to myself, wait a minute, something doesn't add up. I'm a,
Mm.
I'm a queen. I'm
Yes.
adorable. I have an addictive personality. Why is he
Mm.
not as attentive as he should be? I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because I know how this thing go.
Yes.
And I had to sit back and realize I had to get away from that masculine energy. I had to move into the real strength, which is vulnerability. I had to
Mm.
open up and share, drop down deeper. And a lot of women don't know how to get inside that heart and get underneath that and actually just feel. So
Yes.
that's where you need to start. Give yourself permission to feel what it is. Don't be afraid of loving somebody who you find that everybody else find is unlovable. Don't make anybody else make you feel stupid for loving someone that you do. Love is love. And
Yes.
when you actually start loving someone, like women, we feel like, oh my gosh, I just fall in love with him. I just love him. Well, the reason why you're falling in love with him is because you're reflecting all the love and energy you have in yourself and you're pouring it out.
Mm.
And this person is a receptacle and they're receiving it. And when they receive it, that means you get to give more of it. So therefore, you start going to another level of vibration. And that's why you're
Mm.
feeling all this euphoria, but it's something that you've created in yourself for who you actually are. So you're falling in love with yourself because he's receiving who you are, and then he's giving
Mhm.
you back some of who you are. And it's that give and take. So
Yeah.
that's why you fall in love. But now when that person all of a sudden does something or something comes up and now the relationship is over, now you feel like you're heartbroken. Well, he didn't take your heart. You still have that love in you. Now
Yeah.
you just duplicate it. There will be another vessel coming along that you can pour that love into. You don't have to sit in heartbreak. You just have to remember I had a good time sharing my love with him. It was
Yes.
amazing. I was at the top of my game. Everything started flourishing around me. You know what? Let me just put some more energy out there and attract my mate again.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And when you're talking about that, I can relate that to caregivers who are having Dr. Ange to care for a loved one
Mm.
that may have walked out on them in the past. Maybe
Mm.
they didn't have that relationship with their parents or their aunts, but now they have to take care of them. And so it's hard sometimes for them to actually apply that love, that
Yes.
real, genuine love, because they're thinking about the past.
Yeah.
They haven't ripped the bandage off. They
Yep.
haven't taken the time to reflect. And like you said, be vulnerable and share those real emotions and feelings. They just doing what they know to do to be right. to take care of their loved one. So,
Yeah.
so you can apply that, you all, to your situation today, being vulnerable, allowing yourself. And one thing I want to make sure you get out of this is that you're not doing this for no one else. You're doing this for yourself. You know,
Yes.
we think that we're getting ourselves together, that we're, hey, ripping out that bandage, that we're working on ourselves for others. No, this is just for you.
Yeah.
God cares enough about you that He wants you to take the time through the Angie's experiences, through her tools and resources that she's going to share with you later, to say, hey, what do I need to do about myself? How can I really be resilient in this journey? Another question I have for you, and I tell you, 30 minutes go by fast, you all. We're having a good conversation here. If you have any questions for us, any comments, post them, and we'll be sure to answer those today for sure. How can we, Dr. Ange, how can we redirect our misdirection of the strong woman? How can we redirect that? How can we say to ourselves, oh, I thought I was being strong. I thought I was caring, or I thought I was taking on so many roles at work and doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'm really tired. My health is impacted. I'm not feeling good in the evenings. How
Yep.
can we redirect that?
Well, self-awareness is the first thing. Being aware of the fact that, and I tell you, your pain will take you to self-awareness. You're
Yeah,
not in pain because of the next person. You're always in pain because of yourself. You
yeah,
cannot point the finger at other people and say, "Oh, it's because they did this or they did that." Right? Just this
mhm,
week, last week, my daughter had tonsils removed, and so therefore her throat, everything was just on fire, and she had nasal passage surgery. And I'm gonna try to talk fast because I know our time is short. And in the midst of that, I had like two-hour blocks of sleep, and I'm up again for another 2 hours, back to sleep, whatever. But my sleep was really short and I was exhausted. So my fiance did not call during the week. He waited till I called him. Well, then I realized I was putting forth all the energy of calling him. And this one day I was too weak to even make the call, but I wanted to hear from him and I didn't hear from him.
mm.
So the next day, I was like, oh, he's off. I'll just wait a little while till he calls me. And he never called me. So at 1:30, I now got some strength and energy to call him, let him know how frustrated I was, right? But after I let him know how frustrated I was, and he was just looking at me dumbfounded because he was being respectful of my schedule.
Right.
But
Mhm,
what I need and what I wanted and what I made him understand later on was that, no, I need your presence. I
mhm,
need presence. I need your protection. If you're absent, then I don't feel like you're covering me, right?
mhm.
I could not be mad at him because I had been doing all the work.
Yes,
So I had to
yes,
become self-aware that he
yes,
is not the problem. I created the monster. You
yes.
know, and he is not the monster. I'm the monster. Because I was the only one roaring.
That self-awareness is key. I think that takes a lot of wisdom and a lot of looking in the mirror and saying, hey, I
Mm,
need to just pause and take the time and write out some things. You all write in your journal. Take the time for self-awareness. Start this weekend and making sure that you're doing things that are going to benefit you and your health and your mental state. I think you all are doing an awesome job as caregivers and supporters of caregivers. I appreciate all that you do for your loved ones. But I'm here to tell you, if you're not doing something for yourself, then
mm.
you're not really living. You're not. You're not really living, you all. You're just surviving. But Dr. Ange, I tell you, we're going to have you back for a part two.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, yes, that'd be great. That'd be
We're
great.
going to have you back for a part two because this has been wonderful. And I have other questions that I want to dive into for our viewers so that they can continue to get the understanding of strength and what that really means for them and how they could be best successful in their lives. Okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
Dr. Ange, you're welcome. How can they get in contact with you, Dr. Ange?
Well, on all social media platforms, I'm Prosperity Queen. And
Mhm.
but on YouTube, I'm Angie Kearns, the PQ. But you can find
Yeah.
all my resources and actually get coaching from me. I got one-on-one coaching. I have 20-minute sessions that you can sign up for at angiekearns.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. We'll continue to post that information with you so you can get in contact with Dr. Ange and she can help you navigate this thing we call life, you all. Okay? But thank you so much, Dr. Ange. Thank you all. Keep living in your right mind, and we'll see you next week.